I followed her GPS to a funeral for someone who was still alive. It sounds insane, I know, like something out of a bad movie or maybe a really warped true crime podcast. But it happened. This whole thing started, I guess, with a nagging feeling, that cold, creeping dread that something's just off. You know that feeling? Like when you're driving and you swear you've seen the same car 3 times in 20 minutes and your gut just clenches? Yeah, it was like that, but amplified by 1,000. Before we dive any deeper into this mess, if you're finding yourself drawn into this kind of dark stuff, the kind of stories that really get under your skin and make you think, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Seriously, it means the world. And while you're at it, give this a like. Share it with anyone you think might appreciate a good, raw story, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think, what you do, where you see this going. Your engagement fuels these stories. It keeps them coming. So yeah, back to my own unraveling. It started small, like most bad things do. A misplaced phone, a late night at work that didn't quite add up. Emily, my Emily. She was always the sunshine in my life. Bright, bubbly, the kind of woman who could walk into a room and make everyone feel a little bit better. We met in college, down in Charleston. I was a business major, all ambition and late nights studying in the library. She was art history, all passion and paint-stained fingers. We were a cliché, maybe, the grounded guy and the free spirit. But it worked. It worked for 12 years. We built a life, a decent house in the suburbs, a couple of cars, the kind of comfortable routine that lulls you into a false sense of security. We talked about kids, about growing old together on some porch swing. That was the plan, the only plan. The first real crack, the one I couldn't just chalk up to stress or a bad day, happened about 6 months ago. She'd been working late a lot, some new project at the gallery. I understood. This was big for her, a real chance to make a name for herself. But her phone, which was usually glued to her hip, started disappearing, vanishing, then reappearing in strange places, under couch cushions, in the laundry hamper. Odd, I thought. Emily's meticulous. She'd never just lose her phone. Then came the hushed phone calls. She'd step out onto the porch or into the other room, her voice dropping to a whisper. When I'd ask who it was, she'd just brush it off. Just a client, or my mother, she's being dramatic again. Lies. Beautifully crafted lies. I could feel it in my gut. The air in our house, usually so warm and familiar, started to feel thin, brittle. I tried to talk to her, gently. Hey honey, is everything okay? You seem a little distant lately. She'd just smile, a little too brightly, and kiss me. Everything's perfect, sweetheart. Just stressed with work. You know how it is. And I'd want to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her more than anything. Because the alternative was a gaping abyss I wasn't ready to look into. But the unease persisted. It was like a constant hum under the surface of my life, a low-grade fever I couldn't shake. I started watching her, without really realizing I was doing it. Little things. The way her eyes would dart to her phone when it buzzed, the way she'd hesitate before answering a question. Then came the GPS incident. I was coming home from a business trip, a day early. I'd booked a flight that landed around noon, thinking I'd surprise her. I picked up my rental car and decided to take the scenic route for a bit, just to clear my head. I was listening to the radio, the usual classic rock station, when my own phone, which I'd linked to the car's Bluetooth, started pinging with notifications from Emily's phone. She'd shared her location with me ages ago, a little thing we did so we always knew where the other was. A safety measure, she'd said, and I'd always appreciated it. But now, seeing her location pop up on my car's display, miles away from where she was supposed to be, my heart did this weird, sickening lurch. She was supposed to be at the gallery. Her work calendar, which I'd glimpsed once, showed a client meeting at 11 a.m., but her little blue dot was moving, steadily, in the opposite direction, towards the older part of town, the part with the abandoned warehouses and the sprawling, forgotten cemetery. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. This wasn't right, not even remotely right. I pulled over onto the shoulder, the gravel crunching under the tires. My own phone showed her GPS signaling was strong, unwavering. She was heading towards Oakwood Cemetery. Now, Oakwood isn't exactly a tourist spot. It's old, overgrown, the kind of place people visit out of obligation, not for a leisurely afternoon stroll. And it certainly wasn't on the itinerary for a gallery owner meeting a client. My mind, bless its paranoid little heart, started racing. Was she meeting someone? Someone she didn't want me to know about. But a cemetery. It felt so clandestine, so final. I stayed on the phone, watching her dot. It stopped, dead still, in the middle of the cemetery grounds. No building, no specific plot number, just the middle. My breath hitched. I debated calling her. Should I? What would I say? Hey, honey, I noticed you're currently parked in a graveyard. Is everything all right? No, that would sound accusatory, and I didn't want to accuse her. Not yet. I just wanted answers. So, I did something I've never done before, something that still makes my stomach churn with shame. I put my car in park, grabbed my phone, and started driving towards her. I kept her location pinned, my eyes glued to the screen. The drive felt like an eternity. Every red light, every slow-moving truck was an agonizing obstacle. My mind conjured 1,000 scenarios, each one worse than the last. Was she meeting someone for an affair? Was it a clandestine meeting for something illegal? Or was it something more somber? But even that didn't make sense. Who meets at a cemetery in the middle of a weekday afternoon, in the middle of nowhere, for a somber occasion that isn't a funeral? And if it was a funeral, whose? It felt like I was trapped in a maze, and every turn led to more questions, more dread. When I finally pulled onto the cemetery gates, the wrought iron was rusted, the stone pillars crumbling. It was exactly as I remembered it, neglected, eerily quiet. I parked across the street, trying to be inconspicuous, my heart hammering against my ribs. I watched the entrance, scanning the sparse traffic. Then I saw her. Emily. She was getting out of her car, a sleek black sedan, the kind she'd always admired. She was wearing a simple navy dress, her hair pulled back neatly. She looked solemn, professional. But there was a tension in her shoulders, a slight tremor in her hands as she adjusted her purse. She walked through the gates, not looking back, not checking her phone, just walking with purpose towards the center of the grounds, the same spot her GPS had indicated. I waited a few minutes, my breath held tight in my chest. I couldn't just sit there. I had to know. I started my car and drove slowly through the gates, following the path she'd taken. The gravel crunched, the sound echoing in the stillness. The headstones were old, moss-covered, leaning at odd angles. It was a forgotten place. I slowed my car to a crawl, trying to spot her. Then I saw a small gathering of people, maybe 5 or 6 of them, clustered around a freshly dug grave. And there she was, standing at the edge of the group, her head bowed. My blood ran cold. A funeral. It was a funeral. But who? I scanned the faces, my eyes blurry with a confusion that was rapidly morphing into panic. No one I recognized, no one who looked like they were connected to our lives. Then my gaze fell on the flower arrangement placed on the edge of the grave, a simple wreath of white lilies, and tucked beneath it, a small cream-colored card. I strained my eyes, trying to read it from my car. The words blurred, but I could make out a name that made me slam on my brakes, the tires screeching on the gravel. The name on the card. It was the name of a colleague of Emily's, a colleague who just last week had been laughing with us at a dinner party, a colleague who was very much alive, very much breathing. My mind reeled. What the hell was going on? This was Emily's GPS. I'd seen the blue dot. I'd seen her car arrive. I'd seen her standing there. Yet the funeral was for someone who was, as far as I knew, alive and well. I got out of the car, my legs feeling like lead. I had to get closer. I had to understand. The small group was beginning to disperse, people offering hushed condolences to a woman in black who was openly weeping. Emily stood a little apart, her posture stiff, her face unreadable. I approached her slowly, my voice raspy when I finally spoke. Emily? She flinched, her head snapping up. Her eyes widened, a mixture of shock and something I couldn't quite decipher. Fear? Guilt? Her perfectly composed facade fractured for a split second, revealing a raw, naked emotion that sent a fresh wave of ice through my veins. She looked at me, truly looked at me, and for the first time in months, I saw the person I thought I knew, but layered with a profound, terrifying strangeness. She opened her mouth to speak, but no sound came out. The other mourners were starting to notice me, their hushed conversations ceasing as they turned to stare. The air hung heavy, thick with unspoken questions and the scent of damp earth. And Emily, my Emily, just stood there, caught in the glare of my bewildered gaze, her secret laid bare in the most impossible, heartbreaking way. Her eyes flickered, darting from my face to the departing mourners, then back to me, a silent plea forming on her lips.
The woman in black, the one who had been weeping, was now being led away by a younger man, their hushed words a muted soundtrack to my unfolding nightmare. I took another step closer, the distance between us shrinking, and with it, the last vestiges of my sanity seemed to fray. "Emily," I repeated, my voice a little louder, demanding an answer that she seemed incapable of giving. The few remaining people, a somber-faced older couple and a young man with a boutonniere, paused, their gazes now fixed on us. The silence that descended was deafening, broken only by the distant chirping of birds and the frantic thumping of my own heart. It felt like the whole world had shrunk to this one desolate spot, and Emily and I were at its epicenter, caught in a maelstrom of deception. She finally found her voice, a small, breathless whisper. What are you doing here?" Her eyes were wide, pleading, but also held a flicker of something else. Defiance, perhaps? Or was it sheer terror? It was hard to tell. She looked like a cornered animal, her carefully constructed composure shattered, leaving behind a vulnerability I hadn't seen in years, not since that first time I told her I loved her. "What am I doing here?" I echoed, the absurdity of the situation almost making me laugh, a hollow, mirthless sound. "I could ask you the same damn thing, Emily. What are you doing at a funeral for Mark Jensen? A funeral that isn't happening?" The name hung in the air, heavy and accusatory. Mark, my friend, my former college roommate, the guy who just hosted our anniversary dinner last month, toasting our future with a glass of expensive scotch. He was alive. I'd spoken to him on the phone just yesterday, debating fantasy football trades. Emily's face went ashen. She took a stumbling step back, as if my words had physically struck her. Her hand flew to her mouth, her fingers digging into her lips as if to stifle a scream. You don't understand," she stammered, her voice barely audible above the rustling leaves. It's complicated." "Complicated?" My voice rose, laced with a bitterness I hadn't known I possessed. The carefully constructed dam of my composure had finally burst, and the torrent of anger and confusion threatened to drown me. "What's complicated about burying a man who's still breathing, Emily? What's complicated about lying to me, about sneaking around, about being tracked to a goddamn graveyard for a fake funeral?" I gestured wildly at the freshly turned earth, the stark white lilies now looking grotesque and mocking. "You told me you were at the gallery. You told me you had a client meeting. Was that another lie? Another elaborate performance?" Her eyes filled with tears, but they didn't feel like tears of remorse. They felt like tears of frustration, of being caught. "It wasn't for Mark," she whispered, her voice cracking. Not directly." "Not directly?" I took another step, my fists clenched. The other mourners, sensing the rising tension, were now giving us furtive glances, their curiosity piqued by the unfolding drama. I didn't care. Nothing mattered except the gaping chasm that had just opened up between us. "Then who the hell is it for, Emily? And why are you pretending to bury him? And why were you using his name on the card?" She looked down at the card on the grave, then back at me, her eyes pleading. It's for him, but not for him. It's complicated." She repeated the phrase as if it were a magic spell that could somehow untangle this impossible knot. "Stop saying it's complicated," I practically roared, my voice echoing through the silent cemetery. A bird startled from a nearby oak tree, its wings beating a frantic rhythm against the heavy air. My chest felt tight, constricted. I couldn't breathe. The air was thick with the scent of decay and deception, and it was suffocating me. She took a deep, shaky breath, her gaze fixed on the ground. "The funeral, it's a cover," she finally said, her voice barely a whisper. Mark asked me to do it." I stared at her, my mind struggling to process this new layer of absurdity. "Mark asked you to pretend he's dead. Why the hell would Mark Jensen, who I spoke to yesterday, want to fake his own death? Is he on the run? Did he rob a bank? What kind of twisted game are you two playing?" The anger was turning into a cold, hard knot of disbelief. This was beyond anything I could have imagined. Her shoulders slumped. He's in trouble," she admitted, her voice trembling. "Serious trouble. Someone's after him. They think he's dead. This funeral is supposed to convince them he's gone, permanently. And you're just helping him?" I scoffed. "Just like that? My best friend is playing dead, and you're his accomplice, and you didn't think to tell me? Your husband?"
The man you share a life with? A house with? Who you promised forever to? The words spilled out, a torrent of hurt and betrayal. Every carefully constructed argument I'd rehearsed in my head, every gentle probing question was now rendered irrelevant. This was not about a misunderstanding or a secret rendezvous. This was a conspiracy, a life-altering deception, and I was completely, utterly excluded. "I couldn't, David," she said, finally meeting my eyes. The tears were streaming down her face now, undeniable. "Mark made me swear. He said if I told anyone, especially you, they'd know he wasn't really dead, and they'd come after both of us." "They'd come after both of us?" I repeated, my voice dangerously low. "So you're saying you've been lying to me for months, sneaking around, participating in this elaborate charade, all to protect me or to protect yourself? Because it feels a hell of a lot like you're protecting yourself, Emily. Protecting your secrets." She flinched again, a wounded look in her eyes. "It's not like that. Mark is in danger, real danger. He's been getting threats. Someone is obsessed with him. They've been stalking him, leaving messages. He was terrified. He thought the only way to make them stop, to disappear, was to make everyone believe he was gone. And you just went along with it?" I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. The Emily I knew, the one who worried about leaving a light on when she went to bed, was suddenly a hardened conspirator in a dangerous game. You just decided on your own to help my best friend fake his own death without even a word to me? Did you think I wouldn't notice? Did you think I was that stupid? Her voice was barely a whisper. "Mark said it was the only way. He was so scared, David. And he's my friend too. He came to me in desperation." "He came to you," I repeated, the words hollow. "And you, without a second thought, decided to deceive me, to make a mockery of my life, of our marriage. What about us, Emily? What about our vows, our trust? Does any of that mean anything to you when Mark Jensen whispers in your ear?" She choked back a sob. "It means everything. That's why this is so hard. I've been living a nightmare. Every time I looked at you, I felt like I was betraying you, but I was also terrified for Mark and for you. He promised me it would all be over soon, that once they believed he was dead, the threats would stop." "And you believed him?" I asked, incredulous. "You believe this is going to end with everyone just saying, 'Oh, okay, Mark's dead, let's move on'? That's not how people who are obsessed with someone behave, Emily. That's not how this works." My mind was a whirlwind of possibilities, each one more terrifying than the last. What if this wasn't about Mark being threatened? What if Mark was the threat? What if this was some elaborate scheme to get him out of legal trouble, and Emily was his unwilling accomplice? "He said he had a plan," she insisted, her voice gaining a desperate edge. "A way to disappear, to start over somewhere new once this was done. He just needed time for them to believe it. He said he was going to tell you everything himself once it was safe." "Once it was safe?" I laughed, a harsh, guttural sound. "When would that be, Emily? After they'd found Mark's fake body? After the funeral rites were over? After I'd mourned my best friend and you'd stood by my side, playing the grieving wife, all while knowing the truth?" The anger was building, a dark storm cloud in my chest, threatening to unleash a tempest. "I was going to tell you," she pleaded, her eyes red-rimmed and pleading. I was so scared. For Mark, for us. I didn't know how to start, how to explain something so unbelievable." "Unbelievable is the word," I spat, the words tasting like ash. "You know what's unbelievable, Emily? It's that you could do this to me, that you could lie to my face for months about something this huge, and then act like you're the victim here." I looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw a stranger. The woman I'd loved, the woman I'd built my life with, had a secret life, a life of deception that I was clearly not a part of. "David, please," she begged, reaching out a trembling hand towards me. I recoiled as if she'd touched me with a hot iron. The rejection clearly stung her, but I couldn't help it. I felt contaminated. Everything about our life, our shared intimacy, now felt tainted by this monstrous lie. "Don't," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "Don't touch me. Don't pretend this is just a misunderstanding. This is a betrayal, Emily, a complete and utter betrayal." I turned away from her, my gaze sweeping across the desolate graveyard. The white lilies on the fresh grave seemed to mock me, a symbol of a death that wasn't real, a deception that was. "So Mark Jensen is dead," I said, my voice laced with sarcasm. "And you're his grieving what? His accomplice? His confidant?
And you expect me to just accept this? You expect me to believe that this is all some noble act of friendship? A cold dread began to creep into the edges of my rage. If Mark was truly in danger, then that was one thing. But the way Emily was acting, the desperate, fear-filled way she was clinging to this story, it didn't feel entirely honest. It felt like there was something more, something darker, lurking beneath the surface. Was Mark really being threatened? Or was he the one causing the trouble? And was Emily a pawn or a willing participant? "He's my friend, David," she said, her voice firming slightly, a flicker of the old Emily returning. "And you're my husband. I was trying to protect you both. I was in an impossible position." "An impossible position you put yourself in," I retorted, "by lying to me, by keeping me in the dark. Do you have any idea how this makes me feel? How little you must think of me to believe I wouldn't be able to handle the truth? Or worse, that you just didn't care if I found out?" The other mourners were now actively trying to pretend they weren't listening, but their furtive glances and awkward shifts in posture betrayed them. The woman in black had stopped at the cemetery gates, and she too was watching us, a strange expression on her face. Emily's gaze followed mine, and she saw them. Her cheeks flushed crimson. "We should go," she said, her voice tight. "No," I said, my voice hard. "This is exactly the place, because this is where your lies led me. This is where your secrets are buried, and I'm not leaving until I get some answers, Emily. Real answers, not more of this 'it's complicated' garbage." I took a step towards the grave, my eyes fixed on the name on the guard. "Mark Jensen," I said, looking back at Emily, my gaze piercing. "If you're really dead, Mark, then I'm sorry, truly sorry. But if you're not, if this is some elaborate prank, some twisted game, then you and Emily are going to have a lot of explaining to do, and I'm not sure any explanation is going to be enough." The air grew thick with unspoken accusations and the weight of years of friendship now hanging in the balance. Emily stood there, frozen, her face a mask of conflicting emotions, fear, guilt, desperation, and something I couldn't quite place. A flicker of anger, perhaps? Or maybe just the sheer exhaustion of maintaining such a monumental lie.
The woman in black, the one who had been weeping, was now walking back towards us, her steps hesitant but purposeful. She stopped a few feet away, her eyes, still red from crying, fixed on Emily, then on me. There was a strange intensity in her gaze, a mixture of sadness and something that felt like appraisal. "He loved you very much, Emily," the woman said, her voice's soft, melancholic murmur. She wasn't looking at me, but at Emily. "He always talked about you, about how you were the only one who truly understood him." Emily's breath hitched. She swallowed hard, her gaze locked on the woman. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. I stared at them both, a new layer of confusion settling over me. Who was this woman, and what did she mean, "he loved you very much"? Was she Mark's mother? Sister? His grieving widow? But then, if Mark was truly dead, why the elaborate charade? Why the pretense? The woman turned her gaze to me then, her eyes holding a profound sadness. "He wouldn't want you to be hurt, you know," she said to Emily, her voice still soft. Then her eyes met mine, and her expression shifted, becoming more direct, more serious. "And neither would I." My blood ran cold. There was something in her eyes, something knowing, that sent a shiver down my spine. She knew something. Something about Mark, about Emily, about this whole insane situation. "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice rough. She offered a small, sad smile. "I'm someone who knows a lot of secrets," she replied, her gaze flicking back to Emily. "And I'm not sure how long I can keep them." Emily's head snapped up, her eyes widening in alarm. "No," she whispered, her voice filled with a sudden panic. "You can't. You promised." The woman's smile faded, replaced by a look of grim determination. "Promises can be broken, Emily, especially when lives are at stake." She took a slow step closer, her gaze unwavering. "And believe me, David," she said, her voice dropping to a low, almost conspiratorial tone, "lives are most certainly at stake." The graveyard, which had seemed so still and quiet moments before, now felt charged with an unseen energy. The wind rustled through the leaves with a sudden urgency, as if warning us of something terrible to come. And Emily and I stood there, caught in the crossfire of a deception that was far more dangerous and far more complex than I had ever imagined,
with a stranger holding the keys to secrets that could shatter everything we thought we knew. The afternoon sun, which had been shining brightly, suddenly felt weak, obscured by the dark clouds of suspicion and betrayal that were gathering with alarming speed. I looked at Emily, her face pale and etched with fear, and then at the woman who had just spoken, her eyes holding a chilling certainty. And I knew that this was only the beginning of the unraveling. The funeral for the living was over, but the real burial, the burial of truth, had just begun, and I had no idea what would be unearthed. The woman's words hung in the air, heavy and charged, like static before a lightning strike. Lives at stake. The phrase echoed in the sudden, unnatural silence that followed. Emily's face was a mask of pure terror, her eyes wide and pleading as she stared at the woman in black. The carefully constructed facade she'd worn at the cemetery entrance had completely crumbled, revealing a raw, desperate fear that mirrored my own churning confusion. This wasn't just about Mark and a bizarre prank. This was something else entirely. "What the hell are you talking about?" I demanded, my voice hoarse. I stepped forward, instinctively shielding Emily, though whether from the woman or from the unfolding truth, I wasn't sure. My mind was racing, trying to piece together fragments of information, grasping at straws in a storm of disbelief. Mark in trouble? Someone after him? Threats? And now this stranger, claiming to know secrets, to be on the verge of revealing them. It felt like a scene ripped from a bad movie, except the stakes were terrifyingly real. The woman's gaze remained steady, unnerving in its intensity. She was older, perhaps in her late 50s, with a face lined by sorrow and experience. Her eyes, however, hold a sharp intelligence, a clarity that cut through the fog of my confusion. "He's not dead, David," she said, her voice low and even, as if stating the most obvious fact in the world. "Mark Jensen is not dead, and the people who think he is dead, they're dangerous, very dangerous." My breath caught in my throat. I looked at Emily, her entire body trembling. She gave a small, almost imperceptible nod, confirming the woman's words. The ground beneath me felt unstable, the carefully constructed reality of my life about to collapse. "But the funeral," I stammered, gesturing at the absurdly perfect grave. "The card, the whole thing." "Unnecessary deception," the woman said, her eyes softening slightly as she looked at Emily. "Mark believed it was the only way to buy himself time, to make them believe he'd vanished from the face of the earth." "And you're helping him?" I asked, turning back to Emily, my voice a mixture of disbelief and a growing, sickening realization. "You've been helping him hide. For how long, Emily?" She finally found her voice, a raw, choked whisper. Since last spring, when the threats started getting serious. Last spring, nearly a year of lies, a year of deception, a year where my wife had been living a double life, a secret partner in a charade that involved my best friend faking his own death. The sheer magnitude of it was staggering. Every shared glance, every late-night conversation, every casual touch, all of it tainted. My anger, which had been a hot, searing inferno, began to cool, replaced by a chilling emptiness. "Who are these people?" I demanded, my voice tight with a cold fury that was far more dangerous than any shouting match. "Who is after Mark?" The woman hesitated, her gaze flickering towards the cemetery gates, as if expecting someone. "They're collectors," she said, choosing her words carefully. "Of a sort. People who don't take kindly to being defrauded. Mark made some very unwise investments. He got involved with some very bad people. He lost a lot of money, and now they want it back. Or they want retribution." "Retribution?" I echoed, the word tasting metallic in my mouth. "What kind of retribution?" "The permanent kind," she said, her voice flat. "They're ruthless. They don't leave loose ends. Mark was trying to find a way out, a way to pay them back or to disappear before they could find him. He thought faking his death was the ultimate disappearing act." "And you believed him?" I looked at Emily again. The absolute trust I'd placed in her, the bedrock of our marriage, felt like a cruel joke. "You believed this would actually work? That people who kill for money would just give up?" "Mark was desperate," she said, her voice cracking. "He was terrified. He said he had a plan to get the money, to pay them off, but he needed time. time for them to believe he was gone. He made me promise not to tell you anything until then. And you just accepted that." The words were out before I could stop them. The betrayal was so profound, so multifaceted, it was like a physical blow.
It wasn't just that she'd lied to me. It was that she'd chosen to exclude me, to keep me in the dark about something so monumentally important. It spoke volumes about how little she trusted me, or how little she valued my place in her life. "It was his life, David," she whispered, tears streaming down her face now, unashamed. "And I was scared too. What if they found out he was still alive? What if they came after me, or you?" The woman in black stepped closer, her gaze fixed on me. "He's right to be scared, David. These people are not to be underestimated. They're like ghosts. They have eyes everywhere. Mark was lucky to get out when he did. This funeral? It's a gamble, but it was the only one he had left. A gamble with my life?" I spat, my voice raw with emotion. "My marriage? My sanity? You're telling me my best friend, who I've known since college, who I thought I knew inside and out, is involved in some criminal underworld, and my wife has been his accomplice in faking his own death for a year? And I'm just supposed to what? Nod and smile? Accept it?" The woman's eyes met mine, and there was a glint of understanding, a shared burden of knowledge. "Mark made bad choices, David. Terrible choices. And Emily, she got caught in the middle. She tried to protect you both in the only way she thought she could. By lying to me," I stated, the words a bitter pill. "By making me feel like a fool. By making me question everything I thought I knew about my life." I looked at Emily, and the pain in her eyes was a mirror of the ache in my own chest, but it didn't erase the gaping wound of betrayal. "Did you ever think about me, Emily? About how this would feel? About what it would do to us?" She choked back a sob. "Every single day, David. Every single day I looked at you, I felt like I was drowning. I hated myself. But Mark, he swore it was the only way. He said he would make it right. He said he would come back to you and to me and explain everything when it was over." "And when would over be?" I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. "When they finally found Mark's body? When they decided they were satisfied with their retribution and moved on to the next victim? This is insane, Emily. This is not a plan, it's a death wish." The woman in black sighed, a deep, weary sound. "Mark isn't trying to die, David. He's trying to survive, and he's running out of time. The people he owes, they're not patient. They're already getting restless. They suspect something is wrong. They're starting to ask questions about Mark's accident." My blood ran cold. "Accident? What accident?" "That's the story Mark spun," the woman explained, her voice grave. "That he died in a boating accident. They're supposed to have recovered his body, but let's just say there were difficulties with the identification. It bought him some time, but not much, so he's not dead," I said, the words tasting like freedom and terror all at once. "He's alive, and you've been covering for him, lying to me." I looked at Emily, her face streaked with tears, her body racked with sobs. The raw emotion was undeniable, but it didn't heal the rift that had opened between us. "How could you, Emily? How could you let me believe my best friend was dead? I was scared," she cried, her voice a desperate plea. "He made me swear. He said if I told you, they'd know he was still alive, and then they'd come for you too." "And what about now?" I asked, my voice rising again. "Now that this stranger is here, spilling all the secrets, is it safe now, Emily? Is it finally time for the truth? Or are we going to keep playing this twisted game until someone ends up dead?" The woman stepped forward, her gaze locking with mine. "The truth is a dangerous thing, David, especially when it involves people like these. Mark is in deeper than he ever imagined, and the longer this goes on, the more precarious his situation becomes. They're not just looking for money anymore. They're looking for an example to make." My mind flashed back to Mark, his easy laugh, his loyalty, his unwavering friendship. He'd been more than just a friend. He'd been family. The thought of him being hunted, of him living in constant fear, was unbearable. And the thought that Emily had been carrying this burden alone while I remained blissfully ignorant was a betrayal of a different, deeper kind. "So, what now?" I asked, my voice hollow.
The anger had drained out of me, replaced by a crushing weariness. I felt like a puppet whose strings had been revealed, and I didn't like what I saw. We just keep pretending Mark is dead while you're here telling me he's alive and in danger? What's the point of this charade anymore? The woman's expression hardened. The point is survival, David, for now. Mark needs to disappear completely, and for that to happen, everyone who knows him needs to believe he's gone, including you. But I know now, I protested, my voice cracking. Emily told me, you told me. So what's the point of me continuing to mourn a ghost? Because they're watching, the woman said, her voice barely a whisper. They're always watching. If they see any sign that Mark is still alive, if they hear anything at all that suggests he's not dead, they'll find him, and then they'll find us. Emily, who had been silently weeping, looked up at me, her eyes red-rimmed and filled with a desperate plea. David, please, I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I was just trying to keep everyone safe. Mark promised he would tell you himself when it was safe. He just needed time. Time for what, Emily? I asked, my voice flat. Time to disappear so completely that he can never come back? Time for them to get tired and go away? This is a fantasy, Emily, and you've been living in it, dragging me along with you. The woman stepped between us, her gaze firm. He's not disappearing forever, David. He has a plan, a way to finally get clear of them. But it's dangerous, and it requires absolute secrecy. If they know you know, if they even suspect you're involved, they'll use you against him. They'll force your hand. A cold dread settled in my stomach. The thought of Mark being used as leverage, of them threatening him through me, was a chilling prospect. I looked at Emily, at the fear in her eyes, and I knew she wasn't lying about that. This had gone far beyond a simple deception. This was a trap, and we were all caught in it. So, what do you want me to do? I asked, the words coming out like sandpaper. The fight had drained out of me, leaving behind a hollow ache. I was adrift in a sea of deception, with no compass, no anchor. You keep playing the grieving husband, David, the woman said, her voice low and steady. You mourn your friend. You stay away from Mark's known associates. You act like you're completely devastated by his loss. You give them no reason to suspect anything. And Emily? I asked, my gaze fixed on her. Her entire body was tense, her knuckles white where she gripped her purse. Emily, the woman said, her eyes softening slightly as she looked at her. You continue to be Mark's trusted confidant. You act as his eyes and ears. You relay any information you get to me. I'm helping Mark manage this from the outside. I have resources, I have contacts, I can help him. You're helping him? I repeated, a sliver of hope piercing through the despair. You can get him out of this?
I can try, she said, her voice grim. But it won't be easy, and it won't be quick. This is a long game, and we all have to play our parts perfectly. No slips, no deviations. One wrong move, and everything Mark has done, everything Emily has sacrificed, will be for nothing. And worse. Her voice trailed off, the unspoken threat hanging heavy in the air. I looked at Emily, her face pale and drawn, her eyes filled with a weary resignation. She had carried this burden for so long, alone, and I, her husband, had been kept in the dark, a stranger to her deepest fears. The anger had receded, replaced by a profound sadness, a sense of loss that went beyond Mark's supposed death. I had lost the woman I thought I knew, and the future we had planned together seemed to crumble around us. I don't understand, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Why me? Why didn't Mark trust me enough to tell me himself? He did, David, the woman said, her gaze steady. He just couldn't. Not at first. He was afraid, and he was ashamed. He didn't want you to see him like this. He wanted to fix it first, to come back to you whole. But he didn't have the time he thought he did. I looked at the grave, at the pristine white lilies that now seemed like a macabre joke. Mark Jensen wasn't dead. He was alive, somewhere, in hiding, playing a dangerous game. And Emily, my wife, my partner, had been his co-conspirator. The depth of the deception was overwhelming. My life, our life,
had been a carefully crafted illusion, and I had been the only one fooled. "So," I said, my voice devoid of emotion, "I'm supposed to go home now and pretend my best friend is gone, pretend my wife isn't a liar, pretend everything is okay." "It's the only way, David," the woman said, her voice firm. "For now, you have to be strong. For Emily, for Mark." I looked at Emily, her face buried in her hands, her shoulders shaking. She looked broken, and in a way, I was too. The foundation of my life had been shattered. The trust I had placed in the two people I loved most, my wife and my best friend, had been systematically dismantled. "Let's go," I said, my voice flat. I reached out a hand, not to touch her, but to gesture towards the car. The unspoken understanding passed between us. We would go home. We would maintain the facade. But everything had changed. The intimacy, the shared life, the future we'd envisioned, it was all overshadowed by this immense, suffocating secret. As we walked away from the grave, the silence between Emily and me was heavier than any argument we'd ever had. The sun felt cold on my skin. The world kept turning. The birds kept singing. But for me, everything had stopped. The funeral was over, but the real grief, the grief of a shattered reality, was just beginning. I didn't know if Mark would survive. I didn't know if our marriage would survive. All I knew was that the man standing beside me, the woman I had promised my life to, was a stranger, bound to me by a secret that threatened to consume us both. And as we drove away from the cemetery, leaving behind the illusion of death, I felt a profound, chilling emptiness, the echo of a life that had been built on sand.